Hi, how is everyone today? Oh my goodness. You all are in for an incredible surprise. We have Lainie Sevante here with us, and I am telling you, she is like, I'm already going to call her my sister friend in my soul. You know what I'm saying? So she has so many incredible tips and tricks for all things like natural and healing and alternative medicine and holistic. And I will tell you what, when you finish listening to this interview, you're going to be like, I have to know more. I have to know more. So not only is she an author, she's a writer. She's like, she'll go into all the things. She does retreats. But what I love most about Lainie is she is actually a product of what she teaches. Like she just oozes everything she writes about, everything she talks about, her entire lifestyle. My goodness. Thank you so much for being here with us on our How to Heal Naturally holiday
Thank
edition.
you. Thank you. That was such a warm and inviting opening. Thank you. I love that intro. That's so kind of you. Thank you.
Oh, I love that. And I love that you're in your red. You're ready
I
to
know. I'm
go.
dressed for the occasion.
Beautiful. So tell
Hmm.
us, Lady, how did you get like so immersed in this field? I mean, it's not just something you kind of dabble with. I mean, you are in it. How did this
I,
start? Did you
I,
grow up with this?
you know what? I'll do it in a nutshell. So I'm a little bit of a hybrid of living the world of a food scientist and a food healer. And also, I'm very much grown up in a very esoteric, um, highly intuitive, like a multi-generational intuitive family.
Okay.
And so my work, as you know, known as the food oracle, is really a hybrid of spirit and science. And really coming, and I did grow up in the sense that I've always been an empath and intuitive. So was my great grandmother. She was like the town healer in Russia back in the day, the old
Wow.
country. And so I always grew up very empathic around. I always had an oracle card, a tarot card. I was always giving people insights. But it wasn't until, and I've written about this a few times, that I was a small child and I was hanging around a little spiritual store and like a metaphysical workshop. And my mom was getting a reading, and the reader told her that I had died early in a past life of
Mhm.
food poisoning. And
Whoa.
it wouldn't be surprising that in this life that I would probably choose a career around food. And I have been hypercentric around food. And anyways, I did. I ended up becoming getting a degree in food science and nutrition and dietetics. But it wasn't until like 30 years later, being a foodie,
Right.
chef, all that, that I kind of combined everything and started to look at the spiritual consciousness around food
Okay.
and what food is saying. And so that is kind of in a nutshell what the last 30, 40 years have been.
Golly, I love that. And I
Yeah.
love that you talk about the spiritual component that goes along with food, because a
Yeah.
lot of times people will just talk about the nutrients in food and what to eat and what not to eat, but
Yeah.
it's like there's so much more, to that. So
Well,
do
yeah.
you remember like that moment? So you grew up in it. So it nothing was like that foreign to you. And then you took this pivot to actually really become an author and really share it to the nations.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, it was, flashback, I could always say that I always knew that there was more to the consciousness of food. That's why we talk to our plants, we sing to the plants.
Hmm.
We know that food has a bioavailability, right? So that means that we can generate more energy from it and more life. So if that is the case, and then I wanted to look more around frequency and energy around food and start to understand that Mother Nature has been giving us some clues.
Yeah.
So I was in the middle of a very advanced food healing instructor course back in 2019. And I had really decided that there was a next level. And so I also dabbled a lot in oracle cards and tarot. And I wanted to write a book. And I'd always wanted to write an oracle deck. And then the light bulb was like, what if we talked about messages around food? Because food has those messages. So that kind of just opened up the lid. The first food healing oracle deck was written, did very, very well. It's now in like 30 countries. And then a couple years later, we have a second one. And now I'm writing a third. And I realized that people wanted to know when they get that hit at the grocery store of like, what should I have for dinner tonight? And they're
Mm,
like, I need to have artichokes. There's actually a message is why you're choosing artichokes. And it's not always just I need the metabolic composition, nutrients inside artichokes. Artichokes actually has an inherent deeper meaning to it.
mm,
Are
mm.
you, are you wanting to know what it is, just out of curiosity?
Like, yeah, let's go.
uh, so
Because I
artichoke,
love artichokes and I do
you
crave
do?
them. Yes.
I'm glad. I mean, I just got that. Like, I which card? I mean, there's 124 foods I work with, but artichoke is actually in my world, in the world we call cherries, our community, is forgiveness. And if you
Ooh.
think about the picture an artichoke, for all of you who are now like thinking about that artichoke dipped in butter and garlic and all that,
Yes.
but artichoke here, I'm just going to show you a picture of what it looks like in my world.
Okay,
Um,
yes.
yeah, but think about the artichoke and what is it protecting? It's
Ooh,
protecting the heart.
yes, the heart.
And so all those thorn layers that are around the heart, it's like we put up walls around ourselves when we are hurt. And so when we can peel back those thorns, those sharp layers, we can heal the heart when we go into forgiveness.
Yeah.
So there is an actual psychology, there's an actual spiritual messaging around this. So you can actually go into ceremony around artichokes about forgiveness and let the heart shine again. And so I kind of look at all the emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual aspects to food in that regard.
That is beautiful. That is, I'm just, because I just have to say, artichokes, like that was my one. So, as a mama, I've got 3 kids, but growing up, my mom and dad, they had an actual food store and all that. But my mom, like because there were so many kids, there were like 7 of us. My mom, when she would go to the grocery store, her little treat for me was always an artichoke. Because I was
Oh
always the one that
my
loved the
gosh.
artichoke. So she would always get me like a special artichoke from the grocery store. And so when you talk about that, like, and you know what I'm saying, it's really powerful because I can
It's hitting.
see how that could just unfold in my own personal life. I love that.
Well, that I I'm so happy about that because literally I just pull it in and I'm like, okay, I think we need to talk about artichoke.
Yeah.
I mean, I am actually there's a between the two decks, there's 124 foods, and now I'm working on a new one with 44. So nearly 200 foods have been decoded, if you will, from Mother Nature. It's just channeled wisdom about what foods mean
Love that.
on much more than yes, of course, nutrients in health, and we want
Mhm.
holistic point of view, but when we're feeding our mind and
Yeah,
feeding our soul, all of that comes into play. And so we want to look at sort of that whole holistic aspect to that food. And
that is
so
so
you can
interesting.
literally eat with ceremony. We always say you'll never look at food the same way again after kind of learning this new way of food. And I could have just written the book, but somehow it was like, no, do it as an oracle. And now I see why it's come to play that people can pull a card and say, what should I eat? What is my body craving? What do I need to get out of this mood? Or, any lots of different ways you can pose the questions.
Oh, mind blown. I love it. No, that's so good because even like my own little ones, like I'll take them to like, the grocery store, the farmer's market, and because like what I crave and what I need for my body doesn't necessarily mean that that's what they need. And so like I'll bring
Yeah.
in the fruit and vegetable section. I'll be like, okay, just go, pick something that your body, that your body needs.
Yeah.
And but I never thought about the spiritual aspect of it. I was just like, okay, your body's craving some kind of nutrients that maybe mom has forgotten about. So like just, energetically find it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so I just
Yeah.
love that.
It's really fun to work with children. And one of my certified readers, we teach a certification program. She works with kids, and she actually has worked with the Girl Scouts even, and have them look at. It's almost like you lay out all the foods, like Top Chef, and make something. But it's interesting to see we're going to make smoothies today, what foods that they gravitate towards, because it
Ooh,
actually can give some insight as to what's going on with them. It's amazing. Like
yes.
strawberries is love, and blueberries clarity, and kiwi is freedom. There's just all sorts of little coatings, but what they end up choosing can mean so much. And then if you take it to kind of like the next level, there's our energetic system of chakras, which is, our energy centers. And actually, those are living, breathing centers in our body. And actually, they have different characteristics that could be fed too. So, if someone's feeling a little bit emotional, maybe there's something going on in the solar plexus, which is represented by yellow, and they maybe need things that are yellow,
Okay.
butternut squash, or well, that's a little bit orange, that'd be sacral. But there's actually foods that actually heal those areas. So, you can go down a little bit of a very expansive light rabbit hole, but in a way that gives you much better control and confidence
Yeah.
and understanding is to why you've chosen. And actually, if you're choosing to make a meal for the family, you're doing it with intention, and it's like it heals everybody. It's really amazing. It's almost like when you open up your refrigerator and you're like, what do I feel like having? That hit, there's a reason. And if you knew what it was, you're like, okay, I did need some support, which by the way is butternut squash.
I love that. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, this is like one of the most incredible things I've ever heard of in my life. Like, I mean, I'm like in the scene, right? And I just have
Yeah.
never heard of this. And it makes me wonder too, when you're talking about that, you know how sometimes we go through aversions of foods? Like
Yeah.
we just, or we can do like a lot of a certain food and then all of a sudden we're like, I just can't even see that. Not that we have an allergic reaction or anything. We're just like, oh, heck to the no. I need a break from that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Like it's just not in alignment for you. Wouldn't it be curious to know why that is?
Oh yeah.
And actually, there is a reason. And I work with sort of not everything's rainbows and unicorns. I mean, I work with some words that are, redemption, regret,
Yeah.
shadow, confusion. And you'll be curious because there are times where people say that they don't want that food. And if I tell them what the word associated in my world is around it, it would make complete sense to them that they are going through some shadowy dark times, or they just don't want to have anybody tell them what for. Or they are having some confusion around a decision, and they are not wanting a certain food. And I said, wouldn't that be crazy to tell you that cilantro is confusion? And so I've seen some crazy, I mean, thousands of stories at this point.
Yeah.
And then when you think about it, Mother Nature here, I'm saying, has been giving us these signs, and we know that foods look like the body parts, right? We know that. We know a
Right.
walnut looks like the brain, or uh, a heart looks like, or red bell pepper looks like the heart, or eyes look like blueberries and carrots. I mean, there are real like organs that match, grapes for the lungs. It goes on and on. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many. But I remember specifically someone coming up to me and saying it was a festival, and I was giving these one card pulls, and she goes, I just want you to know I have heart disease. And I said, okay. And I said, would you like to pull a card to see what this is all about? And sure as heck, she pulls red bell peppers and then starts reading all about red bell peppers and how they help the heart. And it was literally like
Wow.
just this nudge.
Yeah.
I've just seen so many of them that, I mean, like thousands at this point, seeing that we have the support if we can open up a greater awareness to
Right.
the food that we're eating and being provided for.
I love that. That is so powerful. One of the because I've owned 4 restaurants across the country, and I remember one of them was an Italian restaurant, and it was kind of in a country town. And I had like a salsa, and I remember every single person it felt like was asking if there was cilantro in the salsa, and if there wasn't cilantro, and they just did not want cilantro in this region. So finally, I had a sign up that said there is no cilantro in the salsa, but other regions were like it wasn't even a thought, you know what I mean?
Amazing.
So it's
Amazing.
very interesting. Like now, and I remember at that time thinking, why do all these people over here are like not cilantro fans, you know? It's so,
And
and
that is our confusion card,
yeah,
which is interesting. And things do happen regionally too. For us, or for me, I would say that our goal, my goal, is to really see chefs start working with this,
yes.
and they have, start to create intentional meals. Like, they literally
Mm,
can take these foods and make a meal with intention. If it's a gratitude meal or it's a Valentine's, a love meal, and start to put these combinations. And we've started working with a lot of chefs to do this.
I love that.
It's really fascinating. You can make an entire meal that's really based around complete energetic intention for the body
I love
on
that.
all levels, like mind, body, spirit levels.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. So is there a name for this?
Well, I would call it intuitive food therapy. That's what
Okay.
I have it's called the Center SIFT is what I am the founder of, and it's called the Center for Intuitive Food Therapy. And the idea around that is that we've provided, written, created, and teach tools on how we can learn a greater understanding around our own intuition and tapping into natural health and tapping into natural healing and learning to just pause for a minute and tune in, if you will, as to
Right.
what my body really wants right now. And so there is a lot of confusion in terms of all the diets. Should I do intermittent fasting? Should I do keto,
Right.
paleo, vegetarian? And and they can be all great or they cannot be so great. But sometimes, like you said, sometimes you're in resistance to food and sometimes you're not. Your body will tell you, like, right
Mm,
now I want to eat meat. Other times you don't want to eat meat. Like, it's learning to hone into working with your inner understanding, your inner intuition. And we help develop that with a series of tools and classes and certifications and programs and stuff. And I think it's really essential we do that because it is much more than just physical
yeah. Yeah.
for us to have that holistic balance. There's no
So true.
question. Hmm.
That is so true. Audience, I just want you to grab a hold of what Lainey is talking about right now. And if this is resonating with you, like it is with me, we will have all of our contact information underneath because I know this is like a lot and you're just like, how do I find out more about this? And all of her retreats and what she does in her books. So we'll be able to connect you with that. This is so, so, so incredibly powerful. So what are some techniques, Lainey, that you can really give our audience that will kind of help them through their journey with just alternative medicine and really just trying to find a path of living a more organic, holistic life?
Wow, that's a big question. I would say that the first step really is to kind of take a pause
Mm,
and start to look at food from an honoring standpoint. And I write about this a lot. And my mother taught me as a child, she would say, for ingredients, she would say, more than three, leave it be. And I
mm,
used to hate that because I was like, what is she talking about? All my friends would have, amazing foods and, the ingredients were this long and you couldn't
yes.
pronounce them and they were full of every worst chemical, the outer aisles, right?
Right.
Or the inner aisles where everything's processed. And so
Yes.
it was like the outer aisles, right? Produce, things that are fresh, again, bioavailable. And so simple is best. And so, how can we eat more whole? How can we eat more consciously in alignment with ourselves? So, consider the fact that we're nature,
Okay.
right? So, we think a lot of times, and this is a big part of my teachings, is working with the elements. So, just very simply, people go to the ocean or they go to the river, they go to the forest hiking or them up the mountain through the river and through the woods
Yes.
to go to nature. But think for a second that we are nature, right?
Mm,
So
mm.
let's just break that down. Earth, air, fire, water, spirit. So if earth is our bones, earth, air is our breath, fire. Earth, air, fire is the system, the energy, the chi that gets all of your systems, your reproductive, your cardiovascular, your endocrine, every system requires energy. That would be the fire. Water, the water that goes through the body, the blood that goes through the body, and spirit is our soul. So take into account that we are nature. We want to eat according to nature. So let's just feed our body its most optimum foods for wellness by eating according to the rules of nature. And it kind of expands from there. But that would be the most simplest of realizing how to live. And my mother was right. More than three, leave it be, meaning something that doesn't have several ingredients that you can't pronounce that have been processed.
Yes.
Staying away from microwaves, staying away from things that are not, um, simplified. So I would just say starting, less is best and going from there, because the food, the least amount of processing, the better. And am I advocating go out and be a raw foodist? That's up to you. I am saying that there's a moderation and a way to work with what Mother Nature is hinting at us. She's got the foods from the trees and the bushes and the plants, and it's up to us to kind of learn how to integrate what's best for our bodies, and it can be done. And
Yes.
there's, a few methods. So I work with that. And if like that esoteric chakra world, we teach that. But, we all have to realize that there is so much food that has been made in a lab, and there's
Mm.
foods that have been made in a garden. And, how are you choosing to assimilate that into your body system?
That's amazing. That is really powerful. And I love too that you talk so much on how, like, just keep it simple. Like, we overcomplicate it. It's like grab an apple, grab a banana, just bring some ingredients together. It doesn't have to be so crazy, and because I deal with a lot of clients that are like meal plans, and they're like, I don't cook. And I'm like, it's so simple, it's so
Oh,
simple. And like exactly what you're saying, the more we overcomplicate it, or we end up getting foods that have all the different ingredients, we don't read the labels, we can't
yes,
pronounce it, and like just take that as like, that is not for me. Okay, period.
right.
That is amazing. I love that. So tell us about Lainie. Like, when you get up in the morning, do you have like a morning routine that keeps
I
you
do.
really on track? Because you can't give what you don't have, right? And you're definitely a leader of leaders and all that. And so,
Oh,
how do you keep yourself elevated to be able to just give and share so much of yourself?
oh, blessing. Thank you. Yeah, I do have very much kind of a ritual or a ceremony or a routine, if you will. And it may change. Again, I listen to my body a lot, but I am a big smoothie person. And so I wrote a book on smoothies, and I did it very with very vast, meaning and I don't know how esoteric the audience is, but I actually have some smoothies that have been channeled from the archangels, and there's actually foods and colors that you can, that there's nature smoothies, like I said before, element smoothies and chakra smoothies. But I always have some sort of smoothie in the morning, and I look at the foods that my body is craving. I know the words associated with them, and I create an affirmation around those. So let's
Okay.
just say um, we talked about actually one of the foods in my new book that we'll talk about a little bit, top exotic foods for natural healing. One of my favorite exotic foods is soursop, and it's our miracles card. So I will blend some frozens, or if I can get some fresh, but let's just say a frozen soursop, and I will blend it with celery. Celery is vitality. So I feel a lot of vitality around today to manifest miracles. And I literally will tell my body that as I'm drinking this smoothie with the ingredients I put together. I know that sounds like, what?
No, no,
You
no, you have
really
got me.
can't.
No, no, I have a very esoteric, yeah,
Okay.
yes, my audience is definitely into all that. And, but what I love about that is a lot of times you think when you're doing something intentional, you light a candle and then you burn your incense and then it's more of that kind, but you're like, no, just like hone in to what you're trying to manifest, like a
Yeah.
certain miracle. And like what you're saying, as you drink it, you put intention behind
Yeah,
it, you know?
I call it intend and blend. But it's so true. Like, let's just say, for instance, you know you have to have a confrontation or a conversation that you know is going to be a little bit sticky.
Yeah,
Well, I would be eating a plum. Plums is patience. Like, I am going to be very patient today, and you're seeing that conversation. So I'm doing a lot of visualization with food. It's like I'm eating the food, I'm integrating that frequency as I eat it according to the words that I know what that food represents.
yeah,
And also, if you looked at plum, it's red, it would represent root chakra. So I'm grounding into my body that I'm going to be patient when I have that conversation day. Like, you can really use food to help you.
yeah.
Foods for your moods to do that. So what do I do every day is I wake up with intention. I also do things physically too. I like to brew some cinnamon. You know, cinnamon's our longevity card. It's also a great sugar blood balancer. So I do a little bit of cinnamon in the morning, some ginger. And so ginger is our feelings card. So I feel into what it feels like to have longevity. And I just
Nice.
really use that. And a lot of people um, make these great, you know, we have combinations. In fact, in my smoothie book, we talk about, I actually give you an attuned affirmation. Like, if you're feeling stressed, you need to let something go that's been bothering you. We have a let it go smoothie. It's a really, you know, not everyone can come up with, like, I'm just going to come up with an affirmation. I provide them for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that is very much how I start the day. And I'm, you know, I create clear intentions to get the day going.
That's
So
beautiful. That is
yeah.
so beautiful. I love this. I love everything about this. So,
Thank you, Kelly.
audience, I know you all are like just like I am, and you're just probably thinking of foods right now, like, why am I, craving honeydew melon? Why did my kid get all upset that they didn't bring the plums home? Like what you're saying, why didn't we get plums today? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what's going on in their life? You know what I mean? So like, it's like this
Well,
little video.
it's amazing if you know ahead of time that you know, like, your child just came home and they're stressed, and you know that they need a little pick me up. In a lot, you know, you can actually intend, well, you know, I'm going to go get them this or that, comfort sweet potatoes. You know, I'm going to make them something with sweet potatoes. And you can actually, you know, be more of the decider of your meals.
Yeah.
And you can make a meal. We have, you know, you pull cards for the family. You can actually make meals for the whole family, not just yourself. But, you know, what would be great for the family to eat right now? Pull cards, find out, learn how.
That is so amazing because you also hear too about like when families like, you sit around together and you're all eating together and all the same thing. And especially if it's a home style and the mother is like made or whoever is made, the meal for everyone and everyone is energetically eating the same food, like how not only just sitting at the table together that you always hear, like, oh, look, we're all connected because we're sitting at the table, but we're actually connected because we're eating the same energetic elements of what the food has, for
Yeah.
us.
And that's, I mean, food is exactly that. It's community. It's this one element in the world that connects all of us. We all love food. We love ceremony around food. We love foods for holidays, for good holidays, not so good. You know, we got the weddings, birthdays, funerals. We have everything, but food is always a central part. And so and rightfully so. And so how can we honor it even more?
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. So I
Yeah.
know that there is a free giveaway that you're wanting to give our audience, which I'm already blown away, and I know they are too, because this is already such a gift for you to be here and just share so much incredible, outstanding content.
You.
But also with this giveaway, a free gift for our audience. What is it, and how can it help us moving forward in all that you're talking about today?
Wonderful. Uh, I just actually, it's only been a few weeks, so this is like kind of hot off the press. So
Nice.
this is just fortuitous timing. But I wrote a little, I'm going to call it a little healing handbook. And it's a great little, you know, I think these days everyone's on the go and they don't want to read a huge
Yeah.
book. So let's create something really powerful and quick. But I wrote a book called Top Healing Foods for natural healing, and I looked at foods that are in my world here, either in the first two oracle decks that I wrote or in the third, and I put together the top 10.
Ooh.
And I talk a little bit about these exotic foods, what they are, why they are so incredibly good for you, what maybe their word is associated with the food healing oracle deck. But also, I did a lot of research and I backed it up with some actual studies of
Mm.
how they're helping heart disease or diabetes or cancer or, God, it just goes on, menopause, weight loss. And so I picked 10 of my favorites and they put them together in a book. There is a hard copy, but I am going to be gifting an ebook digital copy of it for you.
Oh, I love
Anyone.
that.
Yeah, so
Oh,
my
so
gift, I want,
generous.
yeah. And eventually I'll have some recipes up. We're getting the recipes up on the website too, but you will enjoy this. And I made sure, and I tell you in the book, how you can get them. It's not like I'm going to say you have to fly to Thailand to eat this. I made
Yes.
sure that, there are different ways where you can find these in your local
Mhm.
community or on an online platform.
I
So
love
yes, my
that.
gift for you is for everyone to enjoy. And there'll be more foods. This is just book one of of these healing handbooks. I have a whole series of coming out soon. Keep an eye out for it on how to feed your chakras one by one. There'll be 7 books of those. But this gift is for everyone to just enjoy these 10. Who knows? You might start incorporating them right away. I
I
hope so.
love it. Oh, so great. So generous
Yeah.
of you. We cannot thank you enough.
Yeah,
So
my pleasure.
what's something you want to just leave with our audience? Like what is something you just want to end this on that they can just really just implement just today? So powerful, all that you will never look at food the same again. Let's just say that, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. I'm gonna leave it with the very simple phrase of trusting your gut. Trust your gut is to really start to pull back the power inside. I know a lot of times we give our power away by, oh my, but that doctor says I have to do this, or this doctor says I can't eat that. Well, just listen into your heart space, take some time to really just say, is this what my body wants right now? And see if it's a yes and see if it's a no. And just take your time with food, and take the time to really pull back, how you're eating, how much you're eating, what you're eating. Maybe pull back away from some of the foods that inherently aren't good for you,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of times we eat food, we know it's not good for us, and then we're starting to put the energetics of shame or guilt, or
Yes.
some of these not averse feelings into our body, when we want to put into our body love and joy and expansion and healing, and putting foods that our body responds to because it's listening. So if I leave you with anything, realize that your body is listening and you can have this wonderful partnership if you just take some time to just listen to what it's trying to tell you to eat first.
Ah, I love that. It's
Yeah.
so beautiful. It's like just stay quiet with your food for a minute. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So powerful. And this wealth of information has just been so abundant. I literally am so grateful that our paths have crossed, that we're connected
Me
for the rest of
too.
time.
I was just, when you said that. So apples is our abundance card. I was thinking if you're going to have apple pie, just know like it's very abundant. But
Oh, that's
apples
so
is our
good.
abundance card.
That is so good. So all of you out there that are going for the apple pie, like during the holiday season, every time you go in there, you'll be like, abundance. Yes, I'm going to embrace it. I love that. I love that. As you can
Yeah.
see, I could talk forever with Lainie, forever and ever and ever. And so we'll have to do this again. But I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming here. We're going to have all of your contact information underneath. So audience,
Okay, great.
if you're wanting to know more about her books and her PDF giveaway, and also to like her retreats, there's so much. We'll have all the resources underneath. And we just want to reiterate, you are not alone in your journey. And if
Mhm.
this has really spoke to your soul, then we just encourage you to reach out. We are here for you. Thank you so much, Lainie, for being here with
Thank
us
you. Oh,
today. You're
I'm
so
so honored. I appreciate it. I wish everyone infinite wellness. Hugs.
yes, I love it.